Okay, so let's go from the first question and then to the end. So, what is pollution? Explain in 1 to 2 sentences. So, this question can vary from person to person, and you guys may have different opinions about the own definition of pollution. So, let's see some of you guys' responses right away because I think that this is a new technique I'm trying to apply, which is to see you guys' opinions first before, like, letting you guys know my own answer. So, for example, answer of Lucy. Let's see how she responded. All right. Um, so Lily actually. So Lily answered the question, "What is pollution?" like this: Impurity is any substance leads to pollution. Yeah, that is the very good sentence describing the overall meaning of pollution, which is from the impurity. Pollution is harmful to nature. Pollution can be of air, water, soil, or sound, etc. Government runs programs to control several types of pollution. Pollution can be controlled in order to maintain sustainability. So, in my opinion, this is a very good response, to be honest, because Lily actually approached pollution in a lot of aspects. For example, from the effects of pollution, which has been wrapped up in one sentence, which is harmful to nature, and then listing some examples of pollution like water, soil, and then suggesting some solutions over here, like recommend governments to run some programs or campaigns to get several types of pollution under control. So I would rate this response 4 out of 5, even though this response is excellent and is explicit. But I think that you should like actually try to summarize it a little bit more because I specifically told you guys here to explain it in 1 to 2 sentences, and this is like 1, 2, 3, like 5 sentences. So try to explain it a little bit shorter and more succinctly. All right. Wait. So next we have Jessica. All right. So the first sentence. So congratulations, you actually can actually explain the pollution in one sentence. So let's see. Pollution is a place where it is contaminated by pollutants. Yes, that's correct. That's absolutely accurate. So no complaints about this response. Right. So let's see. Um. Oh, I have to accept this girl into the class. Wait me a sec. Alright. Um, Next one we have is Sophia. Pollution is the introduction of harmful materials into the environment. Pollutants damage the quality of air, water, and land. What is that? It is really familiar to me. Like, I did encounter this before, but yeah. Overall, this one is still really short and it's not going into the details, which just basically like incorporate only the important details like the introduction of harmful materials and pollutants, which is like the contaminants. The causes of pollution can have negative consequences on the quality of air, water, and land. So yeah, that's some responses of you guys for the first question. Now let's moving on to the next one. Name 3 major types of pollution you've learned. So basically, my answer would be as I've just went through some major types of pollution in the previous lesson, which is air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution. So let's see some of you guys' responses. Monkey, for example. So she said land pollution, water pollution, and air pollution. Yeah, that's correct. Or this Yumi, I guess. Yeah. So where is it? Oh, here it is. So air pollution, water pollution, land pollution. Oh, so the majority of you guys did get this question correct. What about Sandra? Air pollution, water pollution, land pollution. Alright, so Cool. So basically, I think that all of you guys actually answered this question correct. So yeah, moving on. This is specifically the only question about air pollution. Read the reference resources related to air pollution. What I'm trying to say here is that you should read some resources about air pollution listed down above here. Like for example, facts about air pollution or air pollution, stuff like that. What are the causes of air pollution? Can you explicitly name some consequences of getting excessive exposure to air pollution? So I'm gonna just try to answer this question real quick in my own words. So the causes of air pollution, I think, is because of human activities, such as producing, or like manufacturing, which is basically like producing stuff and running factories and like vehicles, or even running vehicles. I'm trying to use the simplest terms and expressions, so yeah, running vehicles, etc. And air pollution can also come from some natural factors. It can be like volcanic eruption, which obviously, like volcanic eruption can release a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which in turn can accelerate climate change and also contribute to air pollution. But this one is less common, less frequent. Oops. Less frequent. So that's just yeah, I'm trying to explain it in the most simplest way that I possibly can. So basically, we just need to list down two of the causes, which is human activities or natural factors. You can actually explain or elaborate some examples here if you want, but let's see how you guys respond to this. Okay. For example, let's see. Lily. Alright, here it is. Most air pollution comes from energy use and production. Air pollution is the form of carbon dioxide and methane, raises the Earth's temperature. Burning fossil fuels releases gases and chemicals into the air. So there are some very good points here. For example, for example, we have energy use and production, which is absolutely agree with, and then in a form of carbon dioxide and methane. So these are like greenhouse gases, which have a negative consequences on our temperature and disrupt our ecosystem. It is mine, Jenny. Yep. Thank you for letting me know that. I'm trying to like analyze your answer a little bit and identifying some good points about your answer. Oh, it's Lucy? I'm sorry. Okay. Never mind. So, thank you for letting me know that. So, it is Lucy homework. I'm trying to analyze this. So, there's some good points here. As I've said, first is the energy use and production, and then in the form of carbon dioxide and methane, which are greenhouse gases, contributing to the rising of the temperature, and also burning of fossil fuels too. But what I would suggest you to actually elaborate more on your answer is to include the natural factors, which obviously a lot of you guys will take it for granted or will overlook. You guys will actually focus on the human-based activities, which is accurate, 100% accurate, because human activities contribute the most to air pollution. But there are some cases where natural factors can also affect air pollution, like volcanic eruptions or even wildfires. Like those ashes can also contribute to the disruption of air or ecosystem. So you can add a little bit here. I'm gonna use another color so you can easily see my annotation or my correction. So you can add some natural factors, though they are not like they don't occur frequently. So yeah, that's my suggestions. But overall, I'm really impressed with your answer. You explained everything so clearly and really understandably. So yeah. Okay, so moving on to the second part of the question, which is what can you explicitly name some consequences of getting excessive exposure to air pollution. So it's really objective, it's really subjective, and as I've explained earlier, that it varies from person to person. Different people will have different opinions about the consequences, the effects of air pollution. But here's some focus and some of my suggestions for this. You can actually say that air pollution can take a toll. No, it's too advanced. Can negatively impact people's health, because when people constantly getting exposed to polluted air, they will increase chances of getting diseases relating to respiratory diseases or chronic diseases like lung cancer or asthma or even heart disease too. So people's health, and then what else? Then increase chances of like infecting illnesses, I guess, like lung cancer or asthma. So I don't know whether or not it is the right spelling of asthma, because I'm not really familiar with it. Yeah. So it's really like, I apologize for actually just focus on only getting excessive exposure to air pollution. What I should have done is that I should have can you name some consequences of air pollution, so that you guys can actually cover more areas of air pollution on other air pollution consequences on other aspects. It's not only about people's health and getting exposure to air pollution. So for example, air pollution can also less noticeably but definitely happening, which is to cause habitat loss, because a lot of species cannot adapt, or it cannot meet the requirements of polluted air, and they will ended up cannot live at that particular area where air is polluted. So it can also cause habitat loss and inhospitable, which is areas to live in, which is impossible to live in or to inhabit. So that's just some of my suggestions. So yeah. Now moving on to the next one, which is water pollution. Is water pollution existing in your local areas? Are there any tangible signs indicating the water degradation? So this depends on whether or not there's pollution in your areas, and I'm trying to increase your observation skill, which is you have to pay attention to your local areas, and you have to take notice whether or not there's any water resources that have been polluted by contaminants. So let's see if you guys for example, in Lucy homework, I'm gonna just take her right away, because there's a lake near her house, and there are many students in secondary school litter the foods package that they buy in front of the school into the lake. One day it'll become darker and darker if people don't protect and keep clean for it. Some kind people had helped picked up the trash into the lake. Some days before that, I had smelled sewage smells, and they smell disgusted. Okay. So Lucy, you actually explained everything so clearly. Like you mentioned, there's a lake in your house and a lot of people's littering and just disposing trash into the water sources, and then gradually those resource or those garbage just adding up, and then the lake gets contaminated, or it's become dirtier, it's become more polluted and more inhospitable, and then there are some signs indicating the water degradation. For example, the erratic or the strange smell that you can detect it from that water resources, like the sewage smell, and then it smelled disgusted. So that's some signs or some indications that that water resources has been polluted. So let's see if you guys actually mention any water resources in your local area that gets contaminated. Let's see Lily homework. Alright. Water pollution don't exist in my local areas. Oh wait, fair enough. So the majority of you guys don't actually have like any local resources, or I mean local water get contaminated. Like, I shouldn't have really actually specifically talking about the local areas because it really restrain your observation skill. Yeah. Okay. We have Sandra here. Wait me a sec. Jessica, nope. No, because there's no like near my house. Okay, that makes sense. Sophia Fort. Why just? Oh, we have Sandra here. Oh. Okay. So I think we just move on to the next question right away because we also have to move on to our lesson today too. So where's my homework? Oh my god, they're so confusing. Do you think land pollution results in habitat loss and biodiversity extinction? Justify your reasons. So let me just answer this question myself first before consulting your answers. So I definitely think that land pollution results in habitat loss. So just say yes it is. I don't want to impress or I don't want to show off my English capabilities, so just want to say yes it is. Justify my answer. So because land pollution, excuse me here a little bit, contains harmful chemicals directly affecting animals habitats. Inhabitation. No, this word is too complicated. I'm trying to like simplify it a little bit, but I cannot come up with any word to describe this. Affecting animals. Oh my god. Affecting animals' habitat, I guess. Yeah, that make more sense. Habitat and their overall health. So if animals accidentally inhale these those gases, they'll get sick and the population will decline. So there we go. That's what I think at least. Actually, if I am allowed to use more fancy expressions, which a little bit complicated for you guys to understand, I can actually elaborate more. But I'm just gonna write that simple answer like this. Land pollution contains harmful chemicals directly affecting animals' habitat and their overall health. If animals accidentally inhale those gases, they'll get sick and the population will decline. So just as simple as that. Let's see some of you guys' responses as well. For example, Lucy. So here, well, I impressed the length of the answer. In my opinion, the answer is yes. There are four types of land pollution: garbage, factories, farming, and mining. Garbage is one of the most common causes of land pollution. So really great there, Lucy. You actually mentioned like what we've learned at the previous lesson, which is four types of land pollution. Actually, it's not types of land of pollution. It's not the particular types of it. It is the causes of land pollution. But still, well done. Garbage is one of the most common cause of land pollution. You'll find garbage in every household. I think it is in, right? Therefore, all this garbage gets dumped onto land. Factories contribute largely to land pollution. They produce toxic waste products and chemical, which prove very damaging to land. We know farming is very important for every person. They fulfill our food demands. However, irresponsible farming becomes very harmful sometimes. And the last one, which is mining. In order to obtain coal and minerals, we dig holes into the land. This results in land erosion. Similarly, it also produces harmful gases and toxins, which results in contaminated land as well as the air. Wow, that was really excellent. Very well written response. I mean, you literally analyze and dive deeper into every single causes and impacts of each of these type of land pollution, which is really remarkable. But okay, so I think that your response is cannot describe in words. It is literally indescribable, but it's really impressive and it's just really fantastic. But what I'm trying to say here is that land pollution results in habitat loss and biodiversity extinction. Even though you list down a lot of, you know, striking impacts of land pollution, but I don't really notice anything contributing to habitat loss or biodiversity extinction. So you should focus a little bit more onto the question. But even though your response is to really great and really excellent, yeah, so that's that. So let's see another response from Jessica, for example. Because land is a place where we can grow crops and plants, if the land is polluted, then the result of the crops will be poor, and if humans or animals eat those crops, will fall okay, will follow seriously. So really great response as well. And I think that this response, even though a little bit shorter than of Lucy's, but at least it's focusing on the question, which is habitat loss, and the logic of the response is still really great. So well done, Jessica. For example, we can grow crops and plants, and then if the quality or the crops quality would be literally really low and it would not really productive, and then if humans consume those crops or those food resources, those supplies, they will get infected, they will get some diseases, something like that. So yeah, you guys seem to have a very deep knowledge about climate change, and I'm really impressed. Like, yeah. And then we have Sophia. Because the land is where we can yeah because the land is where we can grow plants, vegetables, and fruits. If the planet is polluted, then the result if there's something wrong here, like some grammatically wrong here. If the land is polluted, then the result is that people, animals will not have anything to eat and they will starve to death. Okay, so I agree that land pollution can lead to the low quality of crops and plants and vegetables, but it is not that severe to starve people to death because they're dying of famine or something like that. It's not that serious. So you are like overcomplicate things a little bit, exaggerate things a little bit. So what I would change or adjust the answer a little bit to make it become more sensible and like more rational. It will people will if the land is polluted, then crops will decline in quality and people will easily get sick when consuming those contaminated resources. Yeah, so I think that makes more sense. Okay. Then we also have Lily homework too. Let's see. I think because climate change would causes an onslaught of disastrous problems, including flash floods and irregular rainfalls, the endangerment and extinction of species in wildlife, habitat destruction where animals and plants wiped out in certain areas. Wow, your vocabulary is really impressive. It is remarkably really sophisticated. I'm impressed. I don't even really understand this word onslaught. Okay, so don't judge me. I'm not really like, my vocabulary is really limited, and sometimes like I have trouble actually keeping up with the reading comprehension because my vocabulary is not really advanced enough. So but I do remember I did encounter this word once, a fierce or destructive attack. I've never used this before when I'm writing an essay or when I'm speaking or expressing my ideas. So yeah, the vocabulary is absolutely extraordinary, causing an onslaught of disastrous problems, including flash floods and irregular rainfalls. Mm-hmm. Or the endangerment. Very great vocabulary there. Extinction, wiped out. So Lily, you did a great job at expressing your ideas. I really love your vocabulary range. So yeah. Okay, so let's moving on to the next question. We literally spent an hour in the homework and we haven't done yet. I have to speed up. Read the reference source or watch this video about climate change. So maybe you have already watched this video and you can actually refer to the article over here. But let's see. What factors determine climate change? What is the most impressive detail you've learned about climate change mentioned in a video or article? So let me just go to my homework and let me answer this. What factors determine climate change? So there's there are various factors that determining climate change. So as I've explained earlier, it can be natural factors as well, or it can also be like human-based activities, as I've literally explained over here in the air pollution. It's just the same, but it may vary from person to person. So yeah, human activities. So yeah, I'm just gonna write some keywords here. I'm not gonna elaborate because it would really time consuming and takes ages to write. What is the most impressive detail you've learned about climate change mentioned in the video and article? So this is really based on your opinion. I would not provide a fixated or a constructive answer here because you guys may feel impressed with different details in the video or in the article. So yeah. Alright, so well done you guys. Your homework, I'm so satisfied with your homework today, and I think that you guys definitely is so knowledgeable about climate change. So let's moving on to our lesson. We have like less than 30 minutes to finish what we've left off. Okay, so wait me a sec. I have to find the slides here. Oh, here it is. Excuse me if there's so many tabs here. I'm really not really organized person, but anyway, so if you can recall, in the previous video we're talking about climate change, isn't it? And I did tell you guys that I will leave it to this lesson so that we can actually spend the whole lesson for climate change. So here's a little bit of context. Earth is getting hotter. Every day we witness hurricanes, droughts, or wildfires wreaking havoc on our planet and the living natural habitat. All these horrendous consequences are stemming from one phenomenon escalating even more by human activities, which is climate change. So, what is climate change? Um, so trying to be more interactive a little bit. I'm gonna ask you guys your opinions about climate change. So, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? What exactly is climate change? Can you explain it in your own words before I reveal the answer or the definition of climate change? Alright, so anyone want to answer this? Please raise their hands. Okay, so Huyền Anh, can you answer this?
So I think climate change is a long-term change in the advised weather pattern that have come to define Earth's local.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's correct. I think that climate change is definitely a long-term shift in terms of weather patterns. So thank you so much for your answer, and that's exactly what I mean when I'm saying climate change. Well, where's the slides again? Okay, so here it is. So basically, climate change is like the long-term shift, and here it is. So climate change is the long-term shift in temperatures and weather patterns. So when we actually learn about the climate change, we tend to think that climate change. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that like climate change actually existed for a very long time since human civilization, since our Earth has been formed. Climate change has been like swirling around a dates back to millions of years ago. But at that time, climate change is a very gradual process until the Industrial Revolution, where people and human starts using electrical devices, they start building factories and running vehicles. There's a sharp increase in terms of the climate and the temperature. So climate change has been existing for a long time, and since, for example, the dinosaur era, climate change has actually affecting a lot of biodiversity back then. But we have seen the most significant impact of climate change until the 19th or the 20th century. So that's the climate change. I want to clarify a little bit because you guys might hold this misconception. The climate change had just happened a couple of years ago, or it just happened really recently, but in reality, climate change has dominated our world for a very long time. So I also want to mention a little bit on how to differentiate between climate and weather because sometimes you might tend to get confused between climate and weather. So here's is the most simple explanation I can possibly come up with. So climate is like a long-term shift and it's like a very long-standing fixated, how we say it, so let's just actually discover the definition of weather first. So weather tend to be more unpredictable and more fluctuating. It's not unfluctuating. I'm so sorry for this. um oh wait, just ignore the mistake. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that weather is more unpredictable and more fluctuating. For example, maybe today the weather is sunny, but who knows, maybe tomorrow chances are the weather can be rainy. Or if you guys are constantly keeping up with the news on the weather forecast, you may already know that depends on the weather. You will exactly know whether or not today you have to grab the umbrella when you're going outside. Whereas climate is a more general term. It is like a very long-standing flexibility and it happens a very long time. For example, the climate in Vietnam is tropical and it happens all year round, right? So that's what I can think of about weather and climate. Basically, climate is more existing for a very long time. It tend to be more predictable, tend to be more like noticeable, but weather is more unpredictable and there's some like swing in terms of weather depends on day, and climate is like a process happens for thousands or even like hundreds of years. So that's just a little bit of how to distinguish between climate and weather, and how to not get confused when someone tell you guys the definition of weather or climate. So yeah, that's the definition. Now let's moving on to the next one, which is the causes of climate change. So as I've explained, or I'm a broken record, but I've already repeating this like tons of time, which is the causes of climate change. There are two causes, so people tend to focus more on the second cause or the second factors that leading up to climate change, which is human-based activities. And besides, human-based activities are more frequent, and it's contributing more to climate change than natural phenomenon or natural phenomenon. So let me just explain a little bit again. So for example, natural phenomenon, it can be either volcanic eruptions like illustrated here, and when a natural weather event happens or unexpectedly occurred, it will release tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and those greenhouse gases will trap heat, and it will warm up our planet, right? So that is an example of natural phenomenon. But 95% of scientists theorize and come to the conclusion that the majority of climate change acceleration happen due to human activities or industrial or automobile activities. For example, like building constructions or factories, or even vehicles or manufacturing, or even the extraction or the burning of fossil fuels to power up or to heat up our homes, to generate electricity, can also contribute to climate change, because the burning of fossil fuel itself releases and ejects tons and tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So that's some causes of climate change that you need to bear in mind. Basically, natural phenomenon does contribute, but like it happens less frequently and less regularly compared to human-based activities. And I also want to mention a little bit about the greenhouse effect, because so here's is a very huge misunderstanding I notice among a lot of my peers, or like whenever I approach someone or whenever I ask someone about the greenhouse effect, they tend to hold this objection towards the greenhouse effect, that the greenhouse effect is always negative. It's always like taking a toll on human or on animals or on climate change. But in reality, the greenhouse effect plays a fundamental role in stabilizing our ecosystem. And thanks to the greenhouse effect, our Earth is not as freezing or as inhospitable compared to Uranus or Mercury. So let's explain how the greenhouse effect work. Before before like diving in why the greenhouse effect makes such a difference, like why greenhouse effect now is considered the culprit of climate change. So here's, as you can see on the diagram over here, our sunlight will actually like release or will like reflect some kind of electromagnetic radiations into our Earth's atmosphere, and the greenhouse gases on this atmosphere will actually trap the heat from the sunlight. Some will actually trap and reflect it back into space, but the majority of them will actually be transmitted back into our planet Earth in order for our planet to be warm and to maintain a sustainable temperature. So as you can see here, the sunlight will actually be absorbed by the greenhouse gases on the atmosphere, and then some of them will reflected by the surface, but the majority of them will be trapped onto the surface. So now let's coming back to our main point, why the greenhouse effect has become so negative, or why it has become that misconception in the first place. It is because of the human activities, and not too many greenhouse gases into the atmosphere will bring any good result or any positive outcomes, because too many greenhouse gases, the majority of them has been released by human activities or human actions that leading to climate change. And when too many greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, they would trap heat, and the temperature will be rising more dramatically. So here's some human activities that, or more specifically, some greenhouse gases that contribute to the acceleration or the dramatic rise in terms of the temperature. The first one we have, for example, carbon dioxide, which is inevitable and undoubtedly would definitely on the list of the top list of the greenhouse gases that directly affecting our climate. And then we have methane, which the majority of which comes from grazing, comes from agriculture, and from farming. And then we also have nitrous oxide, which as the illustration suggests, also comes from vehicles, from transportations, cars, trucks, something like that. And they will also have CFCs, which actually is a very lengthy, a very complicated word. It is like chlorofluorocarbons, I guess, but I don't really remember it because I always refer to it as the abbreviation, which is CFCs and halocane, which comes from our electrical devices like refrigerators or even some sprays, or even our air conditioner also release a lot of CFCs and HFCs that leading to the ozone depletion and the shrinking of our ozone layer. So our ozone layer a little bit is definitely plays an important role in helping to absorbing and to eliminating the harmful ultraviolet, and without the ozone layer we will increase risk of getting a lot of skin cancer or diseases relating to skin and the exterior skin. But because now there are a lot of like implementations, a lot of legislations have put pressure on companies to limit the release of CFCs into the atmosphere. The ozone now is healing. It is actually making progress into not depleting anymore. So that's just the greenhouse effect. And now let's moving on to the effects of climate change, which definitely is the most important part because we have to gain insights into how climate change affects our biodiversity, our health, stuff like that. So the first one, the effects of climate change, obviously is the severity in the weather extreme events. So I want to explain why climate change lead to more weather extreme events, such as wildfires, flooding. So I'm gonna use a logic a little bit in my story because of the rising temperature, right? And the polar ice caps in Arctic is shrinking. It is like melting, and those water that has been contained in the ice caps will be released and it will be dissolved into the sea levels, and the sea levels will be dramatically rising as a result of those overflowing water that has been released dramatically from the melting of the ice caps. And when the sea levels rising, what would happen? So when sea levels rising, the coastal or the low-lying populated areas near those like coastal areas will be heavily affected because the sea levels raising will submerge those areas, like as you can see on this picture, can lead to floodings or even high tidal waves that can submerge and can actually leave no trace of those areas, if you know what I mean. So these weather extreme events will not only lead to more severity of floodings but can also negatively influence, or it can actually like wipe out every single areas or regions that have been located near the area of the seas or beaches or oceans, stuff like that. And not only climate change can lead to more frequent hurricanes or droughts or even floodings, but also lead to more prolonged wildfires, because when the temperature is reaching to the point where it is so alarming, it is so astonishingly important, the rising temperature can lead to wildfires and sudden outbreaks of fires, and it can lead to deforestation. It can lead to the extinction of thousands of acres of forest and of that particular regions, if you know what I mean. So it's a little bit complicated overall. I don't know what to explain because the effects of the climate change is really widespread. It's really advanced and really complicated to actually simplify it to the terms. But basically, the first effect of climate change is leading to more weather events, which is more extreme, more frequent, and most importantly, more prolonged, or I mean, happens more frequently. And moving on, the next consequences of climate change, which is biodiversity and habitat loss. So if you are constantly a person who is normally watching documentaries or you're catching up with headlines in newspaper, you would definitely encounter those headlines about polar bears. The habitat of polar bears are shrinking because those polar ice caps are the place where polar bears are inhabiting and are living at. And when these ice caps are melting, it is not only leading to the rising of the sea levels, but it also restricts the habitat for polar bears to living in. As you can see in this picture, those polar bears are really tragic. It's really unfortunate, and whenever I'm looking or I happen to be watching videos about those polar bears suffering from the melting ice caps, and like those ice caps are really melting and shrinking day by day, it's just so sad and disappointing to look at. Like, yeah. Or even leading to the biodiversity. As you can see, this forest has been completely wiped up, maybe because of wildfires happen, and the wildfires lead to the clearance of the whole areas, no trace of trees or any livelihood of existence. Like you definitely don't see any animals living or any animals inhabiting here because those areas are definitely unwelcoming and it is not sustainable to live in. So it can also lead to biodiversity and habitat loss, as you can see in this picture. And last but not least, we definitely have to mention about the human health, how climate change can actually have a negative consequences on our own health and our respiratory diseases, stuff like that. So climate change can also lead to the rising temperature, and the most striking effect of climate change that can clearly be seen is that people will get uncomfortable, they will get unfamiliar with the rising temperature, and it can lead to discomfort, lead to mood swings because we tend to be irritable, we tend to be infuriated when the temperature is getting too hot to the point where it is unbearable and like suffocating. And we tend to be more, I don't know why, but whenever the temperature is too hot, I tend to be really irritated, I tend to be really moody, and just don't know why, it just happens to me a lot. And not only that, but in the long-term aspect or in the long-term perspective, climate change can lead to respiratory diseases just as important or as significant as air pollution. For example, more impacts on people's respiratory diseases like asthma or lung cancer, more frequent coughing, or people have to put on masks, stuff like that, in order to prevent the consequences and on getting those diseases. So that's some of the diseases suggested by me as the effect of climate change. Alright, so before moving on to the next slide, I also have this little video I want to share with you guys about climate change, which is obviously from National Geographic. So in this video, you will see the narrator mention about some consequences of climate change on a wide variety of different aspects of life. For example, on the biodiversity, on humans' health, stuff like that. And this video is really comprehensive and really informative, as usual, because I'm a huge fan of National Geographic video. And so yeah, let me show you guys this video before moving on to the next information of climate change. Okay. I'm gonna send you guys this link. So go ahead and watch this and tell me your experience after watching this video. Your thoughts, I mean.
Hello everyone, I'm Tony Bielefeld. I've got over 5 years of experience in teaching English.
Human activities, from pollution to overpopulation, are driving up the Earth's temperature and fundamentally changing the world around us. The main cause is a phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect. Gases in the atmosphere, such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons, let the sun's light in, but keep some of the heat from escaping, like the glass walls of a greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, strengthening the greenhouse effect and increasing the Earth's temperature. Human activities, like the burning of fossil fuels, have increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by more than a third since the Industrial Revolution. The rapid increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has warmed the planet at an alarming rate. While Earth's climate has fluctuated in the past, atmospheric carbon dioxide hasn't reached today's levels in hundreds of thousands of years. Climate change has consequences for our oceans, our weather, our food sources, and our health. Ice sheets, such as Greenland and Antarctica, are melting. The extra water that was once held in glaciers causes sea levels to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal regions. Warmer temperatures also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Growing crops becomes more difficult. The areas where plants and animals can live shift, and water supplies are diminished. In addition to creating new agricultural challenges, climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smog. This is because smog contains ozone particles, which increase rapidly at higher temperatures. Exposure to higher levels of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans, humans are also the ones who can combat it. If we work to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which don't produce greenhouse gas emissions, we might still be able to prevent some of the worst effects of climate change.
Alright, have you guys finished watching it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you're shaking your heads. Have you not finished yet? Alright.
I'm not done.
Okay, so just keep going because now we have to grab some drinks. I'm gonna be back in 1 minute. So yeah.
Human activities
Alright, so I'm back. Let me just share the screen and we're gonna discuss a little bit about this video. Okay, so I think that this video is an absolutely fascinating example to demonstrate you guys about the consequences and the effects of climate change, and I really love the narrator way of expressing her ideas. Like, her voice is so calming and it's just so intriguing to me. It's really captured my attention from the get-go. So anyway, so let's move on to the knowledge or the information of that video. So for example, the narrator explained about the process, like how greenhouse effect works, and then there's some indication that the rapid increase in the temperature from the Industrial Revolution has led and has resulted in numerous unbearable consequences to humanity, to biodiversity, and to our ecosystem.
Of fossil fuels, CO2 and greenhouse
for example, if you look at this diagram from the 1880, you can see that the temperature has been rising rapidly from the 1880, which is when the Industrial Revolution took place, and then it took a sudden change. It took a sudden change in the around, I don't know, 1990 or 2000, and it rapidly reached the 0.6 degrees Celsius
at an alarming rate. In the past,
so even though that our temperature has been fluctuating in the past from about like 400,000 years ago, even though it has been fluctuating, it has been unpredictable. However, our temperature right now has reached to the point where we've never seen before. Like, it is unprecedentedly rising for 400 million years. We haven't never seen such a dramatic change in our temperature for 400,000 years. So even though this video has been made exactly 5 years ago, as you can see here, but I think the content and the delivery and the presentation of this video stays against the time. So there's also some consequences of climate change as well to our oceans, the weather, the food crops, and our health. As you can see that all of the aspects has some relationship, and it has been like connected to each other, and all of those consequences of climate change has been interconnected. Like, even though the climate change negatively influenced the weather, it also influenced the crops too, because for example, droughts lead to the soil quality has been like decreased, and then the soil quality is not suitable enough in order to cultivate crops, and it will lead to humans less productive harvest and crops harvestation, something like that. So all of the consequences are linked and happen correspondingly to each other. So that is just some of the video that I think is definitely informative and provides a lot of invaluable knowledge about climate change, even though the video just lasts for around like 3 minutes. So yeah, so that's basically that. Now let's moving on to the final part of climate change, which is the most important part of the whole lesson, which is some solutions. So as the narrator in the video said, the human beings may be the species, or maybe human beings may have initiated or may have caused climate change, but we also happen to be the only species that can be able to combat climate change. So let me ask you this question: what can we do to approach climate change? Can you give me some examples or some activities you recommended for our class that we can do right now in order to reduce the impacts of climate change? So I'm gonna ask some people in our class to answer this question. And don't be shy, guys, because literally this is our final day. So just be courageous, don't worry, nobody would judge your opinions, and like, everyone deserves to be appreciated, no matter how absurd or how impractical their solutions might be. But I think it doesn't matter, because everything counts. And who knows, maybe your recommendations can actually make a huge difference in shaping others' perspectives. And maybe the way that you express your opinions can inspire others to take actions too. Wait me a sec. So, what do you guys think? Can you suggest like some activities that we can do to mitigate or to minimize the impacts of climate change? So if you guys like have any suggestions, please raise your hands. Don't hesitate to have any questions if you want. I'm in the process too. So nobody wants to say anything at all? Okay, that's okay. I think that you guys might have not really come up with any um solutions spontaneously, but okay, that's fine. I'm gonna suggest some of my own recommendations for you guys if you're stuck and if you're able to come up with any spontaneous answers. So here it is. So here are some pictures I got from the internet demonstrating from my points. The first one, obviously, you can see here is to take up more public transit and to stop using private vehicles, because public transit are have the capacity to contain more passengers, and it will not only like reduce significantly reduce the consequences of traffic congestion, but it can also reduce climate change and like emit less carbon dioxide into the atmosphere too. So decided to make a decision to use public transit more frequently would definitely make a huge difference in terms of the carbon emission and your carbon footprint. And if possible, don't use any public transportation or don't use any vehicles or transportation at all. Just start walking more often or start bicycling more. Those ways, not only you would definitely not reducing any harmful chemicals into the atmosphere, but those means of transportations are also healthy options too. Like when you're cycling more, you would definitely stay in shape. You will like lead a more productive lifestyle. You incorporate more time to be outside and just basically take pleasure in cycling, because sometimes when you can actually like walking and immersing yourself into the nature instead of using vehicles, you actually embrace little things that you've never noticed before. You will notice how beautiful the trees look like. You will realize how those kids are so fun and cheerful and look so lighthearted. So just really, because I think that public transportation and transportation, according to recent research, public transportation accounts for 33% of the greenhouse gases emissions and is the leading contributor to climate change. So if you can actually limit the time or the frequency of using public transportations or the frequency of using transportation at all, you would definitely have a positive impact onto the environment. There's no denying about that. And the second thing is about eating a more balanced diet. So you may be surprised to actually hear that having a more balanced, a more diversified diet can indirectly have a positive impact on our environment. Like, how can diet have anything to do with the climate or with the greenhouse effect reduction, right? It just doesn't make sense. But let me explain. So if you can actually recall this information that agriculture or grazing crops tend to release tons of carbon dioxide or methane into the atmosphere, and if you can like consume less meat or consume more vegetables and fruits, then less animals will have to be slaughtered, have to be killed in order to meet your needs and meet your requirements or to satisfy your demands about the food resources you need to eat. And when you can actually consume less meat, you indirectly you indirectly lead you indirectly like kind of like reduce the impacts of climate change and the impacts of feeding animals or feeding how do you say feeding beef or pigs or other meat resources into the atmosphere. So eating a more balanced diet can inevitably have a positive impact on our environment. And then the third picture clearly indicates the importance of planting more trees because trees are great resources to absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen into the atmosphere, as we've learned about the photosynthesis process a couple of lessons ago, right? And when we're planting more trees, we start raising more fundings, we start organizing campaigns to raising people awareness about the importance of trees and planting more trees in the local areas. Those trees will actively participate in the photosynthesis process. It will like absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, which definitely is important and fundamental for our survival because we need oxygen to live and to breathe and to sustain our survival, right? So planting more trees provides oxygen supplies and also mitigate the impacts of climate change, help to refreshen the air quality, stuff like that. So that is just some of my recommendations for climate change in order to minimize the impacts of climate change and to prevent the worst nightmares or the worst consequences that climate change can possibly bring about to humanity. And here's is my ultimate suggestion, which is to actively participate or engage in community activities to popularize and to spread positivity about climate change and to raise people awareness about the climate change and their impact on the climate so that they can be more mindful and more intentional, and you guys can like support each other during the process of combating climate change more efficiently and more productively too. So the climate is changing, so should we. What I mean is that if the climate is changing, so we also have to be changing too. We also have to take actions. We have to inspire, motivate others to take actions at the same time. Because if we cannot adapt, if we cannot take actions right now, when climate change will be too late. It's gonna be too late for us to take actions, and as I don't know, there's a lot of like hypotheses, a lot of like predictions that climate change might be the worst threat. It can be the threatening, like the most horrifying threat to humanity in the 21st century. And I believe that if we don't take actions right now, we would definitely suffer from a lot of unimaginable or a lot of like destructive consequences in the future. So action right now is really important, and I think that governments and people should take climate change more seriously and start taking actions more collaboratively together. At the end of this lesson, I just want to say one thing, that human beings might have accelerated climate change, but we happen to be the only species to successfully combat it. So we cannot rely on animals, on other species, on maybe like on our dogs or on cats or on any other living forms in order to combat climate change for us. But we have to be in charge and we have to be responsible for combating climate change. We cannot rely, we cannot count or like confide in other species to eliminate climate change for us other than ourselves. So that's a very a very like how we say it fascinating quote that wrap up our lesson about climate change, and it happens to be also our final lesson for today and for the whole course. So that's our final lesson for today's, and I just want to say one thing, that it has been such a life-changing experience for me to be able to teach you guys and to generate knowledge for you guys, because I've never have ever thought about teaching others or being a person who can spread my passion about science to others. And this whole teaching experience had taught me a lot of valuable lessons. I am able to to create not very engaging slides, but at least I'm able to organize my ideas better, and I am so making progress at communicating my ideas, because I definitely have trouble and difficulty in kind of expressing myself sometimes. And this whole teaching experience has taught me so many invaluable lessons, that such a life-changing experience for me. And I also want to send this huge appreciation for you guys to spend literally over 7 weeks with me and to follow this course. I am so happy that you can commit to this course to the very end. And this is also our very last lesson. I just don't really know what to say, because I still can't believe it. I still cannot believe that I can actually finish the course and teach you guys so many lessons. You guys cannot believe or cannot imagine how fascinating I was, or how intrigued I was with science, and was longing so bad for a class that can teach, or I can actually spread some knowledge to others. And this whole course, you guys maybe gain some knowledge from my course, but I think that I am the person who gained the most from the course, because I just don't really know how to express it right now. But the course, the whole teaching experience, the whole preparation process, it can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, because I have to sit down, buckle down, and concentrate on enriching my knowledge with the upcoming lesson and to create slides. But it also teach me a lot about organization, about time management. And there's sometimes I'm delaying to actually mark homework for you guys, or to customize, or to send you guys the homework templates, and I feel absolutely so guilty about that. And the pressure forces me to have to be concentrated, and have to be focused on what I'm doing, in order to have the most conducive, have the most effective teaching method for you guys. And I also want to apologize a little bit for not giving so many opportunities for you guys to actually speak up your mind, and to not have many opportunities to express your opinions about the lesson, because my mom also notices when she rewatches my video lectures. She told me that I am just speaking so much. I'm speaking the majority of time, and I don't let my students to speak their opinions, and it's just really passive learning method. But I cannot actually improve myself in that, because sometimes I'm just so lost in explaining things that I completely forget that I am actually teaching to others. So I really want to apologize for that. If you ever feel uncomfortable, if you ever feel like you are not being able to given the opportunity to speak up your mind, I'm so sorry for that. But I definitely would try my best to work on my abilities to sympathize, and to work with others more efficiently. So yeah, that's just some of my last words for the class. And honestly, I still cannot believe it. It just feels so surreal that this is the final day of our class. Teaching you guys has become such a routine of I don't know how to say it, but teaching you guys has become such a fixated routine that's so hard to break down now. But I really hope they can actually open more free classes in the future, if I can have time for. But now I'm so busy with my school assignments, with numerous competitions just popping up, and I honestly cannot squeeze any more lessons into my hectic schedule. So but yeah, at the end of the lesson, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for attending my classes, for completing the homeworks, and for listening and being so patient with me, because sometimes I can be annoyed for repeating the same information all over again, because I have this very weird habit of repeating myself, and I just don't know, it just happens all the time. But thank you for your patience, for your participations, and I'd like to actually hear some of you guys' opinions about my teaching experience, because I'm kind of curious what you guys think about my teaching method. I've never actually asked you guys before about this, but yeah. Like, can you tell me some things that you don't like about my teaching method, or something that you like about my teaching method, or if you have any improvements that you might want to suggest me so that I can improve myself? Because I think that listening to others' feedback is a way to grow and a way to realize the mistakes that I have never noticed before. So I'm gonna call randomly for a person to just say their opinions about the lessons that they have learned so far. Alright, so wait me a sec. Okay, so the first person I wanna call on is okay, let me see. What about Lucy? So I just remember that you definitely sent the video for me like, at the beginning of the lesson, and was so impressed with your ability to communicate, and the way that you explain the ideas. It's just so impressive and so remarkable. So I really want to see whether or not I actually help you to improve anything at all. So yeah. Lucy, are you there? And can you just like basically give me some feedback if you want to?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep. So I'm like asking you guys to actually give me the feedback, because this is such a life-changing experience for me. And do you have anything to say about my teaching method? Anything you are dislike, or anything you love, or whether or not my course actually live up to your expectations?
In my opinions, I think that from the beginning, for listening to your lessons, I think it's very useful. It can help me improve my English skills. I can learn more about science, and I really love it. So instead of that, I love everything, the slides, and even if your videos stand for me, and we can relax together at this course, and I really like it.
Thank you so much. Oh my god, that's really encouraged me. Oh my god, thank you so much. Yeah. And by the way, do you ever feel annoyed or do you dislike anything about my slides, or the way that I'm explaining things?
No, you explained to us like so smoothly that I love it. There's no annoying.
Thank you so much. Oh my god. That's really inspired me to even open more classes, but I can't because now my schedule is so packed with other stuff. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, so that's Lucy's opinion about me. Definitely I would take notes of that later. What about Jessica? So I have this impression with you when we were participating in the Trạng Nguyên Tiếng Anh competition, and you are such a like outgoing person. I really love your personalities. And what do you think about me? I've never asked about your opinion yet.
Well, in my opinion, I love some of your teaching techniques. For example, the way that you explaining things to us, and also the way that you create a slide for us. However, I would like to suggest that in the future you should give us homework frequently to reinforce our knowledge, what we have learned that day.
Thank you. Well, I cannot stop googling, because this is the thing that I am currently working on, because I am so freaking lazy to even like create homework. But definitely, thank you so much. I would definitely work on that. Yeah. So thank you for your suggestion, Jessica. I would definitely try my best to create homework more frequently, so you guys can apply the theories you've learned at the lesson onto the homework, which I think definitely important. Okay, so moving on to the next person, which let's see. What about Sandra? I don't know why your name just pops up in my head, but I do remember that you like I really impressed with your homework and your performance. Like I did look through all the homework, but all of you guys' performance are great. But I don't know why your name just pops up in me. So what do you think about my teaching method or techniques? Why? Why you like laughing or something?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Okay, so just like suggest something that you like on my teaching method. Is it like engaging? Is it fantastic? Is it capture your attention? Or anything you dislike about my teaching method? Am I such an annoying person? Whatever.
But I just don't know what to say.
Okay, so do you think this course helps you to improve your scientific knowledge?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And do you think that I should like incorporate and dedicate more time to create homework? Yes or no?
I don't know.
Okay, okay, that's okay. Yeah. But thank you so much for at least feeling satisfied with the way I explain the scientific knowledge, I guess. But yeah, at least thank you for answering my question. What about your sister, Lily, right? Yeah. So I don't know why you guys just keep laughing because is it awkward or something? Is it like uncomfortable to say opinions? Anyway, so yeah.
I think your speech is your teaching is really good, and you teach me a lot of stuff about science and a lot of words that I don't know.
Okay. So here's the thing. I am literally struggling to simplify my terms sometimes because science is such a complicated subject that there are some terminologies and some words that are specifically used in that subject, and I honestly don't know how to simplify it, but definitely I would definitely work on my ability to explain things more clearly. But thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, do you have any like recommendations? Like, do you think there's any room for my improvement? Do you dislike anything at all when through the whole lesson, whatever?
I think no.
Okay. Well, be
Mom said
honest.
to say so.
Your words definitely not hurt my feelings or anything. I'm just gonna take it as like an encouragement to work more. But if you have any, I mean, if any like recommendation at all, just feel free to tell me. Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much. So what about another person?
My mom just said that you say so.
Says a what?
Beautifully. My mom said so. I don't know why.
Say what? Can you repeat that?
My mom said she likes your speech.
Really?
Your
Oh my god, thank you. Please send my thank to her. Thank you so much for your mom kind words. But yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the next person, which is actually this is such you guys might definitely feel kind of resist with me, but this is like I cannot memorize every single name in our class, so what I am doing instead is that I am retracing back to the homework you sent with me, and I am literally looking at your name from each homework. Like, okay, I know it's embarrassing, but yeah.
I think in our class have a A girl or a boy named Monkey or something?
Oh yeah, a boy. I do remember. He is like my younger brother's friend. His name is like Alex.
It's a girl. It's a girl. Monkey is a girl.
Yeah, Monkey is a girl, but the boy's name I remember is like Alexandria or something. Alex. Yeah, Alex.
But I don't see him.
He's not turning the camera on. But okay, I'm gonna ask Monkey's opinion instead. So what do you think about my teaching style? Do you have any like particular dislike or any recommendations or any opinion at all? Monkey, are you hearing me? Uh, well, apparently, I don't know why she's not responding to me. Maybe she's doesn't have any opinion to say. So let's moving on to the only boy in our class, whose name is Alex. Hi, Alex. Please turn on the microphone. I have this question for you. Maybe he was unable to hear me or something. Hi, Alex. Are you? Hi, Alex. Oh, anyway, so that's just kidding. I'm just kind of like asking you guys some opinions, and I don't really like expect you guys to have so many positive feedback, anything about my teaching style. But yeah, I think it's already over 4:30 here, so yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I cannot describe it. But thank you so much for your participation in every single of my class, and yeah. No, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Okay, so thank you so much. So I'm gonna see you in the upcoming class or course maybe. But thank you so much for your attendance in every single of my class and doing homework. So, yeah. I think.
Can you give me the slide?
Yes, of course. I'm gonna send this as soon as we finish the class. But thank you so much. I'm gonna end the class right now. So, yeah, bye. Bye bye.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Goodbye. See you in the other classes.
Yeah. Bye.